I want to share with you today, I think, is a very, very important topic that plagues so many women. We've seen it over and again. We have all the stats and the science tells us. And I've heard stories for many, many years. And that is around asking for what you want. This could be across any platform in any arena in your life. But I'm going to share with you a couple of stories. I started my career in North Carolina at a Chamber of Commerce. I had done an internship there for the fall semester of my senior year of college. And I had a wonderful mentor who was the director of business or membership development, I believe. And I had had an opportunity to do some amazing projects. So I was in job seeking mode in the fall. Before I graduated. I actually graduated in the winter, after my winter semester. And so serendipitously, the only position that I could have possibly applied for at this Chamber of Commerce in North Carolina was basically a corporate communications role. But at the time of the internship, that position was filled. And so it was only till probably the last 2 weeks of my internship that the young lady who occupied the position actually resigned to move to another state. And so all of a sudden, glory be, this position was open. I was, wrapping up my internship, and I was about to graduate college from the University of North Carolina. So when I found out that this position could be open and that I could apply for it, I went to the director of membership development and expressed my interest to him and asked him for advice on what I should do to apply for the position. So mind you, I was all of maybe 23 years old. So I applied for the position, and I was granted a meeting with the president of this regional Chamber of Commerce and the woman who would become my supervisor, the director of business communications committee or department. And this has a moral to the story because while I'd been working since I was 14 years old at various jobs that teenagers often do, I did plenty of stints as a restaurant hostess or a cashier at Hardee's or McDonald's or different restaurants, and babysat, and I was a waitress and all these different things. I didn't have really any corporate experience except for this internship. Minus, let me just say, I worked at a bank for several years as a teller, so that was in a professional environment. But there was really no positions open for me. So when I had this meeting with the president, who was probably in his mid-60s or early 60s, and this supervisor-to-be, who was probably in her 40s, and I'm in my 20s, I was a little nervous. But the moral of the story is, when we talked about the qualifications for the role, and when we talked about what we thought the position would be in the parameters and the skill sets that I would bring to the position, then of course it finally got down to the salary. And I'll never forget this. And this is a huge lesson that I've taken with me my entire life. While at the beginning of my career, I had little on paper to offer, except for my enthusiasm, a couple of months of this internship, so they knew me, they liked me. And so when the president of the chamber offered me a particular number, it was such a small number. I think it was $11,500 for the entire year, if you can believe it. So I'm dating myself. But here's the lesson. Somewhere along the line, I got the message that if I wanted something, I had to ask for it. You can be respectful, you can be assertive, but if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So when this gentleman, Tom, presented me with what he was going to be my salary, and I had no, insight. I had no tip off of what that number was going to be. When he offered me that, I was racking my brain of what value could I share with him that would substantiate a higher salary. So right then and there, I countered with maybe $1,000 more. Now think about how insignificant that was. Yes, it was a nonprofit. And yes, it was a relatively low-level position. But here's the great lesson. This man, who was very wise, and he could have very well been my father, maybe even my grandfather, came back and saw what I was trying to do for myself. I was trying to stand up for myself. I wanted my voice heard. I wanted to be taken seriously. I wanted to be treated as a professional. So guess what happened? We landed somewhere in the middle of what he offered and what I countered offered. So I felt good that I had accomplished at least some movement upward. He felt good that I felt good as now a valued employee. And that set the tone of my employment with that Chamber of Commerce, but it also engendered goodwill for really a little bit amount of money. So that was a very positive experience for me that I've taken my entire career. Every turn, from position to position and in business and asking for business is, what I've learned is if whatever someone offers, if you want more, you have to ask. And usually you're going to land somewhere in between. And that's the art of negotiation on a very simple scale. But so many women professionals that I've worked with don't ask. The thinking goes, and this is what I'm told, they wait, and this is what the science shows, they wait to be recognized. They keep their head down, they do the work. They may be 1,000 times more qualified or capable or deserving than their next door neighbor, male or female, but they're waiting for someone to discover them. Well, it makes me think of, first of all, it makes me very, very sad, because if I've learned anything from having a long single life and wanting to be married, as well as, there is a point to this, as well as, having numerous positions in my career, that is, Mr. Right is not going to come knocking at your door, meaning that if you want something, you have to take forward steps to get it. And so then that comes back to the self-confidence issue of feeling like you deserve it. And you deserve everything and more that you want, because if it's on your heart to want it, then it's, it has to be in your mind to get it. And so oftentimes the sage quotes go, when we believe it, we will see it. But what I know for sure, not once in my career have I ever experienced great growth without asking for more than what was given to me. Let that be a lesson to you, my friend. Ask, and it can be given, but if you don't ask, the answer will always be no.